Good afternoon, Simon Kenton, parents and students. I wanted to get in touch with you guys through this video to kind of explain the changes that have been approved by the board beginning January 18th. They affect who's going to be in school on what day, and figured this would be the best way to explain it because it makes the most sense to me. First of all, we'll be using the county-wide data on the COVID-19 dashboard from the state. That's going to place each county in one of four categories based on the number of positive cases reported to the health department per 100,000 residents. This is not a percentage or anything like that. We have been in the red for a few months now, and that's greater than 25 cases per 100,000. But one of these categories is going to come into place. If we are in the green category or the yellow category, which is 10 or less cases per 100,000 in Kenton County as a whole, then any student who chose in-person instruction will attend school 5 days per week. We will follow social distancing to a maximum amount possible, but we won't be able to guarantee that they're 6 feet apart at all times. Again, we'll maximize that as much as we can, but if we're in that category where we have less than 10 per 100,000, we won't run into that area. We will still have universal masking until the pandemic is kind of over, but at this point, we won't need to do random testing through the district if we're in the yellow or the green category. If we are in the orange or the red, which is 10 or greater than 10 cases per 100,000, then we will fall into we will start the random testing process. And the instructional models are what I'm going to go through at the bottom because I don't know about you, but I feel like we're in the red right now, and it's unlikely that we'll be below that anytime in the near future. The only other category over here, this purple category, is if we have a mandate from the health department or some kind of a governing body that shuts us down. Not a recommendation that won't shut us down to in-person instruction, but an actual requirement or a mandate that happen. Governor orders, health department orders, that kind of thing. The other situation where it might be purple is if we just do not have enough staff due to quarantines and positive cases. We may need to move to online for a while. Then we move on to, assuming we're going to be in the orange or the red, we'll go on to the school-specific random testing. And we are going to test 5% of our in-person population each time we do testing. The data can be found at that data studio. I'm going to link that in an email I send out to all parents, so you guys will have access to this document as well. But the percentages you're going to see below here are only from our random testing. Our 5% threshold is about 50 people right now because of the number of people that have chose to be synchronous or virtual. So we're going with about 50 people per testing pool. Students, parents, and staff are still required to self-report, but if you self-report, that's not going to be included in our random testing numbers because we're looking for asymptomatic spread, and that's what we're trying to figure out there. Anyone who has tested has opted out, and those who have already tested positive for COVID in the last 3 months or 90 days will not be tested in that because you can still test positive in some circumstances after you have recovered and you're no longer contagious, but you still have some of the antibodies that might trigger a test that is positive. So those people won't be tested. Again, if you've opted out, you won't be tested. And if your kid is called to get a test taken and we didn't understand that they had already opted out, they can certainly just assert at that point, hey, I've opted out of testing. They can go back to class, no questions asked. Again, I said 5% of our in-person population. That includes staff, students each week. Testing will begin January 11th, so that's tomorrow. And on January 15th, which is next Friday, a decision for our school's instructional model will be made that lasts for the next 2 weeks. If we ever do fall into the purple category, which you'll see below, we will be shut down for in-person instruction for 2 weeks, and we will return in the red category because if we are out of school, it will be impossible to do that random testing. Testing schedule, you can see there, it's every 2 weeks we will do a testing round as necessary, and that will determine the model that we're going to have for the following week and going on from there. Here's the real change that we have. The instructional model is based on random testing. Some seniors have already been brought back to school 5 days. In fact, we moved that up and we have more seniors coming in tomorrow. So if you have a senior already coming 5 days per week and we got in touch with you this week, then that's great. We will see them Monday and they'll be here all 5 days a week. For the green category, when we do random testing, if 0 to 3% of our population that is tested tests positive, then everyone who chose in person will be here 5 days per week. So this could change on a every other week basis. Social distancing will take place to the highest degree possible, but we will not necessarily have 6 feet between every single person in every single class. Universal masking will still happen. We will be wearing masks for the foreseeable future. And all of your meals, the spaced out desks and the cafeteria, those are still going to be spaced out because you will have a mask off at that time. So we're trying to take that precaution. Staff is going to stay socially distant no matter what, because that's the way that we have this model that's approved by the board. The yellow category is the new one. We have not had this before, and we're calling that the expanded hybrid model. Randomly tested population, if we are between 3.1% and 8% positive from our pool of testers, then we will still have seniors here 5 days per week that have elected to do so. The kids that are right now on Team A and Team B will rotate days. Any student who qualified for 5 days like what we're doing right now will still be five days per week. That won't change. And we have some expanded groups that are going to be here as well. And the criteria that our school has established are those students who have failed 2 or more classes. We want them to be the highest priority to get back in here 5 days per week. Those students who have a school-based therapist that they visit, McKinney-Vento students who have failed 1 class, and I know that we have failures on there twice, but just in case we can't accommodate everyone who has failed a class, I think we can, but we will bring them in. Students who are chronically federally absent due to non-participation, and finally special ed students that are not already on 5 days per week, and free and reduced lunch students if that's something they elect to do. Social distancing will be mandatory in the yellow category. We will still wear masks, and staff will stay socially distant. The red category, which is called the aggressive hybrid model, is what we are currently in right now. If our population is 8.1 to 10% positive, students who chose seniors will still be here 5 days per week, like they're going to be starting tomorrow. Team A and Team B rotate days. Those only non-senior students who will attend 5 days are those who are currently attending 5 days per week. That can be an ARC placed, MTSS pyramid, previous other barriers that we have tried to overcome through having kids in school 5 days per week. Universal masking will be important. We will definitely have everyone socially distant in this case, like we are right now, and staff will remain socially distant. Finally, the purple category, if we do our random testing and we were over 10.1% positive, then all in-person instruction will not take place for the next 2 weeks. So if we test at 11% positive on Friday next week, we will be able to tell people, hey, starting Monday, we are closed for in-person instruction. Hopefully we never have this, but it is important to have in place. We can still bring some students in if it's approved by an administrator or a counselor for up to 2 hours for individual instruction / extra help and that kind of thing, but it won't be a class. We will have socially distant for anyone who is in the building, such as staff, will still be mandatory. Everyone's got to wear a mask still, and staff and student has to remain socially distant. So those are the instructional models that we have. If your student falls into the yellow category, what I'm going to be doing today is getting those kids labeled as such in our computer system, and we will contact you to tell you, hey, your student on Team A will be coming on yellow days. So we'll be doing that throughout the week next week, or your student on Team B will be approved to come 5 days per week if we are in the yellow category. Every Friday that we have this, you should look for a new message from the school. I know I send out a lot of, hey, COVID positive, here's how many we had, which it's not a ton when you get down to it, but those are pretty constant things, and a lot of times those get deleted because you know what it says. I would tell you on those Fridays to just, when you see something labeled instructional model for the dates of, make sure you're reading that so you know whether your student is supposed to be here all 5 days or not be here all 5 days. And then we will send out some phone master bright arrow calls to you guys and that kind of thing. If you have questions, you can certainly email me. The message that's going out through IC, if you got to this video that way, you can reply to my email there, and I will have somebody contact you to answer your questions. Or you can certainly call the school and ask any of those questions as well. But we will be contacting you, and I hope this helped explain a little bit better how we have these different categories and what decisions are being made regarding those things. Again, reach out, and I hope everyone has a great week this week. Miss seeing you guys all 5 days per week, but hopefully we get back to things sooner or later. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.